Hey there, RC fan. Welcome to TJ's RC. Today we're going to take a look at how to change settings on the Hobbywing Axe system using a smartphone with the Hobbywing Link App. Now, this is on iOS. I don't have Android, but I believe the app is available for both. So we're going to take a look at that. First thing you're going to need, the Hobbywing Axe system. You're going to need a battery connected to your controller. First step is simply to power on the controller. Once the controller is powered on, be sure you've got the app downloaded to your phone. When you open the app, you'll see in the top right corner here, this little symbol. You click this to connect to your controller. Now, this will show you a list of Bluetooth devices. What you're looking for is the Hobbywing BLE01. You'll click that. If you have already paired your Hobbywing controller to your phone, it should take you straight to this screen. And now in that top right corner, you see the little symbol letting you know that the connection has been made. If you've not paired this up to the controller yet, you'll have to go through the Bluetooth pairing process and then come back to this screen, click that button, and it should connect automatically. If this is the first time you're connecting to your Hobbywing ESC, you're going to want to check to make sure that you have the latest firmware. This shows firmware version that this device currently has is 1-00.2, which I believe is the latest firmware edition. If you had an older one and under target version it showed you a newer one, you would hit the update button and then it would go through a series of steps to update to the latest firmware, which you always want to keep up to date on the latest firmware. Once you've checked that, head straight to parameters. And this screen here lists all of the various settings that you can adjust. So this is where we're going to start. Over here on the left, you've got disconnect, import, export, and factory reset. Now, I'm assuming that you have never done this before, so we're not going to worry about importing saved settings or exporting settings right now. Factory reset should be self-explanatory. Up here at the top, we have cutoff voltage. Now, if you're not familiar with cutoff voltage, that's for when you are running LiPo batteries. When you're running LiPo batteries, you want the speed controller to stop drawing power once voltage drops below a certain point. And we're going to check the options here. So in here, we've got low, intermediate, and high. We're going to just leave this set on intermediate. I definitely never advise setting your cutoff voltage to as low as it can go. In my opinion, is that it's just risky. We're going to leave ours set to intermediate. The next setting that you'll see here is RPM throttle matching. Now, this is the feature that the Axe system has that either makes people like it or hate it. What this does is, as you apply throttle with the transmitter, the Axe system will apply however much torque is required to maintain the speed that you have set using that throttle trigger on the controller. So if you come to an obstacle, and instead of having to apply more throttle to get the vehicle up over the obstacle, the throttle matching system of the Axe will add more torque to keep the speed going the same. That's what these settings are. Low, intermediate, and high refers to how hard the system will work to maintain that throttle matching. Right now I have it set on high, which is maximum level for throttle matching, and my wife drives this rig most of the time, and she really enjoys the feel of how it drives. And so that's why we're leaving it set there. These next two, max reverse force and max forward force, refer to the total amount of power that the system will allow in either forward or reverse. And right now I have 100% for forward and 50% power for reverse, because if you've ever done any crawling, you're aware of how easy it is to over reverse sometimes when you're trying to gently back up out of a sticky situation. And so I've got max reverse set to 50%. The next item on the list here is turbo timing. What turbo timing means is when you hold full throttle, so you're trying to go maximum speed, after a certain amount of time, it will advance the timing. When timing is advanced, you get a slight boost in upper RPM range. So I have it set to maximum right now, and turbo delay set to maximum also. That is how long you have to hold the throttle at wide open before it will apply the change in degrees. And so having a little boost in the top end is all that's about. Next on the list here is drag brake force. I have drag brake set to 100. On the Axe system, you can set drag brake all the way to 200%. Now, I left it set at 100 because I wanted to see what that was like. I wanted to see what does 100% look like, and is it adequate for how we drive the truck. So far, it's been more than adequate for the type of driving that we do. Now, this next feature is another one of my favorite features on the Axe system, This is drag brake increase rate. This means once you let off the throttle to neutral, how fast it applies the drag brake. Now you have levels 1 to 9 for how quickly it'll apply that drag brake, or it has a setting called auto, which is the setting I have it set at. The auto drag brake increase means the system will sense how fast you're going and then apply the drag brake quicker or slower depending on whether you were going slow or fast. If you're crawling real slow and then let off the throttle to neutral, it'll apply the drag brake right now. But if you're going full throttle really fast and then let off the throttle to neutral, it will pause for a split second the implementing of that drag brake so that you're not going from wide open to full lock of the brakes. That can just be hard on the system and can cause, the truck to tumble or something. So setting it to auto is a pretty neat feature. The next is neutral range. That refers to the percentage of throttle range where no throttle, forward or reverse, is sent to the motor. The factory setting is 10%. I've just left that alone. Throttle increase rate is the next setting down the list. Throttle increase rate refers to how much power is dumped when you mash the trigger. When you mash the throttle, how much power? Right, level 9 would be maximum available. That's what I have it set at. You could adjust that setting down lower if you wanted a smoother power delivery when the throttle is mashed all the way. If you were letting a young person drive the truck or a very inexperienced person and you didn't want them to always be busting the tires loose every time they tried to drive it, you could set that down lower to make it a little bit easier to drive perhaps. Next on the list is BEC voltage. This is another useful setting. BEC voltage can be set at 6 volts or 7.4. The Reef Servo that comes with the Axe Edition Gen 8 does have the ability to run at 7.4 volts. To get maximum power out of that servo, we decided to set it to 7.4 volts. Now, if you get a different servo or you're running the Axe in a system where your servo's not designed to handle more than 6 volts, you would set it to 6 volts. You also have to keep in mind, if you're adding the Axe system to a different vehicle, is not all receivers are able to run at more than 6 volts. So you have to keep that in mind. And the next setting below here is motor rotation counterclockwise. That's the factory default setting. And we just leave that alone because the truck goes forward when you want it to go forward. Now, if you were putting the Axe system in a different vehicle and when you tried to pull the trigger to make the system go forward, it went backwards, you could come in here and change the motor rotation to set that straight. When you're all finished making changes to your settings, you hit the save button. Are you sure you want to save your parameter settings? Make sure that the throttle is in the neutral position or disconnect the throttle, otherwise the settings will not save properly. So then you hit the OK button. It made the adjustments, and so the controller is ready to go with the settings that we just changed on here. And the cool thing about this is that you don't have to go to your rig and do anything to be able to connect this. If you're running the truck, you can simply pull out your phone, connect to the Bluetooth, and then you can make changes, and then seconds later you can go drive and see how those changes affect things. If you have any questions that I didn't cover here, be sure to comment down below and let me know. Otherwise, just comment down below and just say hi. I love chatting with you guys in the comments. You guys are awesome. The Hobbywing Axe is pretty great. So is their app. Go check it out. This is TJ's RC, and we will see you next time.